Imagine this. It's 2008. You're sitting in the most powerful boardroom in Silicon Valley. Your company has just been valued at $580 million. Rupert Murdoch himself, one of the most ruthless media moguls on the planet, bought your platform for that price just 3 years ago. You have 100 million users. You are the biggest social network on the internet. You are the future of digital communication. And then, a 23-year-old kid in a hoodie destroys everything you built. Not with better technology, not with more money, not with some secret weapon no one saw coming. He destroyed you with a philosophy. That is the story of MySpace and Facebook. And once you understand why one fell and the other conquered the world, you will never look at business, technology, or human behavior the same way again. Let's go back to the beginning. The rise of MySpace. The year is 2003. The internet is still young. Google is barely 5 years old. YouTube doesn't exist yet. And social media? Nobody even knows what that phrase means. Tom Anderson and Chris DeWolf launch a little website called MySpace, and almost immediately it catches fire. The concept is brilliantly simple. You get your own page, your own corner of the internet. You can put your photo up, list your favorite bands, write a bio about yourself, and connect with friends. For millions of teenagers and young adults, this feels like nothing short of a revolution. Think about what the internet looked like before MySpace. It was mostly static websites, chat rooms, and email. There was no easy way to express yourself publicly. There was no easy way to keep up with what your friends were doing. MySpace changed all of that overnight. The platform grew at a speed that left everyone breathless. By 2004, it had 5 million users. By 2005, it hit 20 million. Then Rupert Murdoch and News Corporation stepped in with that jaw-dropping $580 million acquisition. And suddenly MySpace wasn't just a cool website for teenagers. It was a media property, a business empire, a platform that advertisers were lining up to pay for. At its peak, MySpace was generating more page views than Google. Let that sink in for a moment. More page views than Google. The platform had musicians uploading their songs directly to their profiles. Bands like Arctic Monkeys and Lily Allen used MySpace to launch their careers. It was the cultural heartbeat of an entire generation. Everyone had a MySpace page. Your teachers had one. Your parents tried to figure out how to make one. If you didn't have a MySpace, you simply didn't exist socially. And then Facebook showed up. The birth of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg launches Facebook in February 2004 out of his Harvard dorm room. At first, it's only available to Harvard students. Then it expands to other universities, then high schools. And finally, in September 2006, it opens to everyone. The early reaction from MySpace executives? Polite amusement. They weren't worried. Why would they be? MySpace already had tens of millions of users. Facebook was a college project. But here's where the story gets fascinating. Here's where you start to see the cracks forming in MySpace's foundation. Cracks that were always there, hidden underneath all those page views and advertising dollars. Because MySpace and Facebook weren't just two different websites. They were built on two completely different ideas about what the internet should be. The philosophy difference. MySpace's core philosophy, whether they knew it or not, was this: give people total freedom. Your MySpace page was your canvas. You could customize everything: background images, font colors, music that autoplayed when someone visited your profile, flashing graphics, animated GIFs, sparkles, quotes in Comic Sans, absolutely anything you wanted. Your page was an expression of your personality, and no two pages looked the same. That sounds amazing in theory, and for a while it was. But think about what happened in practice. You'd click on someone's MySpace profile, and your browser would freeze because they had 17 different auto-playing videos and a background image that was a 50 megabyte JPEG of their favorite anime character. The page would take 4 minutes to load. The text would be bright yellow on a white background, completely unreadable. The music would blast out of your speakers at full volume at 2 in the morning. It was chaos. Beautiful, creative, personalized chaos, but chaos nonetheless. Facebook's philosophy was the complete opposite. Simplicity and structure above everything. Every Facebook profile looked exactly the same. Your name at the top, your photo on the left, your information in clean columns, no custom backgrounds, no auto-playing music, no ability to change the font or the color scheme. Everyone got the same template. When MySpace loyalists first saw Facebook, many of them thought it was boring, sterile, corporate. Where's the personality? Where's the self-expression? Why does everyone's page look identical? What Zuckerberg understood, and what MySpace never truly grasped, was that the experience of the visitor matters more than the expression of the owner. When you visited a Facebook profile, you could immediately find what you were looking for. When you visited MySpace, you were playing Russian roulette with your browser, your eardrums, and your eyesight. Zuckerberg was building a utility, a tool, something as simple and reliable as a telephone. MySpace was building an art project, and art projects are wonderful, but people use their telephone every single day. The newsfeed that changed everything. In September 2006, Facebook introduced the newsfeed. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Users were furious. Thousands of people created groups demanding Facebook remove it. It felt invasive. Suddenly, everything your friends did was broadcasted to your front page. It felt like surveillance. Zuckerberg refused to back down. He wrote an open letter acknowledging that the rollout was imperfect, but standing firmly behind the concept. He was right to stand firm, because within weeks, users who had complained about the newsfeed couldn't imagine Facebook without it. The newsfeed didn't just change how people used Facebook, it changed what social media fundamentally was. Before the newsfeed, social media was essentially a directory of profiles. You had to actively visit someone's page to see what they were up to. The newsfeed transformed social media into a live stream of human activity. Instead of going to find information, the information came to you. Engagement exploded. Time spent on the platform skyrocketed. The newsfeed created a pull that was almost impossible to resist. The same irresistible pull you still feel today when you reflexively open your phone and scroll through your feed without even thinking about it. MySpace had nothing like this, and by the time they tried to respond, it was too late. The business killed the product. Here is where the story of MySpace becomes genuinely tragic. When News Corporation bought MySpace for $580 million, it came with expectations. Rupert Murdoch needed a return on that investment. Advertisers needed results. Executives needed quarterly numbers that justified the acquisition. So MySpace started making decisions not based on what was best for users, but on what was best for the bottom line right now, this quarter, this year. The platform got flooded with advertisements. Not tasteful, unobtrusive advertisements. Aggressive, flashing, full-page advertisements that made an already chaotic user experience even worse. Pop-up ads, banner ads, ads that played sound, ads that took over your entire screen. Meanwhile, spam accounts multiplied everywhere. Fake profiles, phishing scams, bots sending you friend requests. MySpace was slow to address these problems because addressing them wasn't a revenue-generating activity. The engineers at MySpace were talented people, but they were working under the thumb of a traditional media company that thought about social media the way it thought about newspapers and television, as a delivery vehicle for advertisements. The product became secondary to the monetization. Facebook had a completely different approach. Zuckerberg was famously resistant to monetization pressure in the early years. He turned down acquisition offers, including a $1 billion offer from Yahoo in 2006, because he believed Facebook hadn't come close to reaching its potential yet. He wasn't managing a product, he was pursuing a mission. The mission was to connect people. Everything else was secondary. Revenue would come later, once the product was so deeply embedded in people's lives that they simply couldn't leave. That difference in philosophy produced radically different outcomes. The talent problem. There's another dimension to this story that doesn't get talked about enough, and it's about the people building these platforms. Facebook built a culture that attracted the best engineers in the world. Working at Facebook in those early years was seen as being on the frontier of something genuinely historic. Zuckerberg was obsessive about hiring people smarter than himself. He created an environment where engineers could move fast, experiment, and ship products without drowning in corporate bureaucracy. MySpace, as a subsidiary of News Corporation, was the opposite. It had layers of management. Decisions required approval from executives who didn't fully understand the technology they were overseeing. Talented engineers left for companies where they had more creative freedom and could actually see the impact of their work. By 2008, Facebook was making product decisions and shipping features at a pace MySpace simply couldn't match. Not because MySpace engineers were less capable, but because the organizational structure made speed impossible. And in technology, speed is everything. The company that iterates fastest wins. The company that can try 10 ideas, fail at 8 of them, and succeed at 2. While the competitor is still getting approval for their first idea, that company dominates. The network effect tips. Here is the most brutal mechanic in the world of social media, and it's the one that ultimately sealed MySpace's fate. Social networks live or die by something called the network effect. The value of a social network is directly tied to how many of your actual friends are on it. Facebook is useless if none of your friends use it. It's incredibly valuable if all of them do. Network effects create a tipping point. Once a critical mass of people you know are on one platform, leaving that platform becomes genuinely painful. Your social life is there. Your memories are there. Your connections are there. For most of the mid-2000s, the network effect was working in MySpace's favor. Everyone was there, so everyone stayed there. But Facebook was growing steadily, and it was growing in a specific, strategic way, starting with university students who were young, digitally fluent, and had large social networks. These early adopters dragged their friends over. Their friends brought their friends. And then something shifted. The tipping point moved. Suddenly, enough of your friends were on Facebook that MySpace started to feel empty by comparison. And once that perception took hold, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. People left MySpace because their friends were on Facebook. More people left MySpace because even more of their friends moved to Facebook. The network effect that had protected MySpace for years became the force that destroyed it. Between 2008 and 2011, MySpace lost 50 million users. By 2011, News Corporation sold MySpace for just $35 million, a catastrophic 94% drop from the price they paid for it. What we learn from all of this? The story of MySpace and Facebook isn't really a story about technology. It's a story about clarity of purpose. MySpace lost clarity. It tried to be a media company, an advertising platform, a music streaming service, and a social network all at once. It served its corporate owners before it served its users. It optimized for revenue at the expense of experience. Facebook had terrifying clarity. It knew what it was. It was a tool for connecting people. Every decision was filtered through that lens. Does this feature help people connect? Does this change make the network more useful? If not, don't do it. The lesson for anyone building a product, a business, or even a career is this: know what you are, serve the person in front of you, and don't let short-term financial pressure corrupt long-term vision. MySpace had the users. MySpace had the cultural moment. MySpace had the money and the corporate backing, and it still lost because it forgot that the people using its platform weren't just an audience to be monetized. They were the product. They were the entire point. Facebook never forgot that. And that's why, 2 decades later, Mark Zuckerberg runs one of the most powerful companies in the history of human civilization, while most people under the age of 25 have never heard of Tom Anderson. Except, of course, as the guy who was everyone's first friend on MySpace. The internet has a long memory, but it has a short attention span. The next MySpace is probably already out there, dominant, confident, and completely unaware of the hoodie-wearing competitor, building something simpler, cleaner, and more focused in a dorm room somewhere. The only question is whether they'll see it coming.